After a few weeks of a reinvigorated Twitter, I've noticed something. Maybe you have too. Everything is running just fine. In fact, despite a more crowded Twitter that feels more alive and vibrant than it has in a very long time, well, let's just suffice it to say it's better here. Well, at least at Twitter. And that's strange, right? I mean, you would think that if you lost 85% of the people that used to work at that company, they're just gone, that the whole system would come crashing down. I think people were trying to predict that would happen, and they were actually rooting for it. Well, some people were rooting for it, not necessarily the good people, but I find this to be rather amazing. It's a breath of fresh air. And with this particular lesson learned, you would think that companies would feel somewhat empowered to get rid of their ideologue, agenda-driven activists and just, move along from that kind of workforce, right? As employees at a struggling woke entity, something that, is, suffering under the weight of agenda, the last thing you would want to do, I would think, would be to draw attention to yourself as a problem, especially since we're headed into like this massive economic downturn, right? I mean, no rational person is going to be that extra tall blade of grass with the mower coming towards them, are they? Well, it looks like a chunk of the staff over at the New York Times have just asked us to hold their beer. Here we go. So once again, we're not going to bury the lead here. According to an article over the weekend, the New York Post wrote about over 1,000 employees at their rival, the New York Times, getting set to walk out next week. That's right. The New York Times, their NewsGuild over there, has everything in place, including 1,000 plus employees that have pledged to walk off the job because they're looking for a fair agreement. And if it's not met by Thursday, December 8th, well, apparently they're going to stroll. 1,036 members of the Times staff there that are part of the NewsGuild, they want better wages. They want them to keep up with inflation, as well as they want their health benefits preserved the way they are and enhanced. In addition to that, they also want to expand remote work and the flexibility to do that, among many other demands. Now, people walking out on their job is rarely humorous. Well, in this case, it rather is. Why? Because the walkout is only for 24 hours. That's right. The union can only muster the temerity of their members to walk out for one work day. And such conviction is what is to be expected these days from the modern employee, a youth. One day. A spokesperson for the Times says that while we are disappointed that the NewsGuild is threatening to strike, we are prepared to ensure the Times continues to serve our readers without disruption, adding that the company's current wage proposal offered significant increases. And it absolutely does. I think it's a 4.5% increase right away. And then over the next 2 years, 3% or 3.5% increase overall. So ultimately, I guess it works out to 10.5% increase over 3 years. Not terrible. Stick with me here and just reflect what the spokesperson just said, right? The spokesperson said, we will continue to operate without disruption. That means everybody will still get the same propaganda that they have been getting at the same time and likely written in the same haphazard way. So nothing's going to change. So what do they need those 1,000 employees for, right? I mean, seriously, same junk, same time, same headaches. No, actually, technically, fewer headaches. Why not line up a truckload of layoffs then? Well, I'm sure there's some reasons, some labor law stuff there that means that they can't. But they could just start slicing off a bit at a time, starting after Friday, cost-cutting measures and all. And the story in the Post here had more than 200 comments in 24 hours. Most of them were rather humorous themselves. Many suggesting things like the striking parties could do better with their new career. Maybe. And if the story sounds familiar, because it should, I think I covered something similar to this, there's a reason that it sounds familiar. The NewsGuild for the New York Times had actually started threatening a strike back at the beginning of October, and they'd been preparing for it since the middle of September. So, or a little over 2 months ago. And at that time, the Guild thought a fair offer for employees would include an 8% raise immediately, and not the 10.5% that obviously was being offered by the Times right now. They even went so far as to actually teach a little course for their union members on how to publish a strike publication. And I think they did that back on October 11th. So they've been at this for a little while. I guess they're just finally getting more broad approval from the members of the NewsGuild to, proceed forward with a strike action. I just don't think 24 hours is going to do a lot. Ultimately, these people are still bent out of shape about the fact that they had to return to the office in September. In fact, a lot of them early in September were trying to hold out. Enjoyed being able to take the White House press releases and the tweets from their friends and turning those in as news stories at the end of the day. And of course, hey, that system works for everybody, right? You just kind of file your stuff from home and, go back and have a bowl of soup and watch Netflix and chill. So those 1,300 folks at that time, part of the NewsGuild, tried to hold back from work in September. So I don't know. It's like these people won't learn and are not aware of things around them. That's called lack of self-awareness, maybe. I don't know. Regardless, I'm sure that we can all do without the depthless, vapid coverage from the Times for at least one news day. I don't know that I actually look at the Times very often. They're kind of the paywall paper. I think what's worse for these employees is that the Times will realize that we could do without their depthless, vapid coverage for a news day as well, maybe longer. But regardless, what do you think? Do you think that you'll notice if the Times isn't published for a day? Do you think you would even notice that, other than somebody might mention it in a news story? What about for a week? Do you think then you'd realize that the Times wasn't being published anymore? And what if, like Twitter, the paper's published and the missing 1,000 employees didn't make any difference whatsoever? Please use the comment section down below. I thought this would be kind of a fun story. Relate one thing to another. It's always a good time. I'm just curious what you think. So feel free to answer those questions down below. We'll have a discussion. Maybe we'll come up with a realization about whether or not we need a lot of the things that we have in this world. And with that, please support other independent creators here on the platform. They certainly do. They certainly do appreciate any support you can give them, whether you subscribe, which you probably should do, hit the notification bell, which you probably should do, or, leave a comment, share, and of course, hit the like button when you enjoy something. It all helps. It all helps with engagement. It drives the algorithm, and it really does make all the difference in the world, because if you make it into the recommended for the day, it can change your channel fast. And with that, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands, of course, because it's good hygiene. And until next time, bye.
And don't forget to check out my Rumble at rumble.com/CultureCasino. And don't forget to check out my Rumble at rumble.com/CultureCasino.
Thanks for visiting today. Be sure you're subscribed and hit that for alerts.
Yay!
Of course, like and share all of the videos that you can, as it helps with the algorithm. Have a great day.